This is the hour, the darkest place. Dante's Inferno, the devil's maze. It's a good world, good world gone bad. Half the people dying while the rest of us are splitting hairs. It's a good world, good world gone bad.
welcome to another edition of Thirsty Thursday. But you know what? We've got an extra special edition today. We don't have any magical guests. We're not doing anything that we've typically done on the previous Thirsty Thursdays. But you know what we do have? We have an extra special episode, and you know who our guest is? Our guest is you. We have been trialing this whole idea of creating a call-in show, and we said, you know what? After the GIE, well, we're still in recovery mode, which, by the way, I am recovered from the GIE. There's no doubt about it. I have not recovered from work yet, but I am good from the GIE. I hope y'all are better from the GIE too. I said, damn it, well, it wasn't even me. I think it was J-Ping. I think he was like, let's do a call-in show, and our special guest is going to be the viewers. So here we are, gentlemen, Ray, and at the absolute last second by the hair of his chinny chin, Ryan DeMay. Oh yeah. Boys, how the hell are y'all doing?
Hey, I just skated through a big long day and finished up a late call, just in the nick of time for you guys, and for our listeners, and even guys, the haters that are out there watching us. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We love you. We really do. There's no division. There's nothing. We love all of you so much. Ray, don't you think so?
Yeah, I mean, we love you all. I mean, come on to the show. We'll talk.
Chop it up with us. Come on, hey, we're big. Well, I don't know. Ray's not a teddy bear. Ray is
not a teddy bear.
Kind of like, no. What would Ray be like? He's like that.
He's a
hairless cat.
He's a papaw.
Yeah. Ray, what is that? What is that hairless cat called? There's a name for it. I gotta look it up. I'm sorry.
I have no idea. I was about to Google it myself. I was like, what is it? I have seen those before. But I can't say I've ever unpacked what the name of it is.
Sphinx? Is it Sphinx?
Sphinx? Sphinx? That was also like imagery of the
Sphinx,
Egyptian era, right?
Pyramids.
Am I recalling that correctly? The pyramids?
Mm-hmm.
The Sphinx?
I could have seen Ray being a pharaoh at some point in his.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that.
Past lives. Yeah,
no doubt about that.
All right, hey, we're off the rails here. Listen, I want to get some good questions. I am totally expecting to be harassed, right? And if you are seriously, if you're a hater and you don't agree with us, right? Take all that energy, right, that you have built up inside you, all that hate in your heart, and let it out, brother. Pick up that phone, dial the number here that J-Pink's going to flash on the screen, and come talk to us, man. If it's really that bad and you really think that you can hang here, come on, man. Pick up the phone and call. I implore you. I'd love it, wouldn't you? Right?
Yeah.
I would. 304-80 grass, 304-804-7277. We will take your calls live on air. Whether you're calling, because here's the thing, look, even if you're throwing a bunch of hate at us, are we going to cast it back? No, we're going to try and have a conversation with you. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm just going to drink beer and start wheezing.
That's a good callback. That's some inside baseball.
Yeah,
that is definite inside baseball. But it's good. That is good. Seriously too, if you want to call in, and it doesn't matter the topic of conversation. We can have very entry level type conversations. We can have very advanced level type conversations. In fact, we enjoy talking about the ultra entry level stuff. It's it gives us an opportunity to kind of call back and refresh things in our mind that we may or may not have thought about recently. And so you don't have to be nervous about that at all. It is 100% wide open. The floor is yours. And I would say 90% of topics are able to be discussed publicly. 90% is a good number, right?
Yeah.
Man, call in 304-804-7277. 304-804-7277. That being said,
those other 10%, is that like the stuff that was behind that black curtain in the video store when we were younger? Is that what the 10% is?
Yeah. The section where you have to show your ID to walk over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your parents wouldn't let you. Oh, come over here. No, we're gonna go over here, Ryan. We're gonna go over here, Matt. You don't want to go over there.
Son. I'm sorry. I thought I saw something on a movie. There's more videos back there. Dad, son, eyes here. Look me in the eye.
True story about that real quick. I think I was in like 4th or 5th grade and I saw my student teacher, a dude, checking out movies from there, like ahead of us on a Friday. Yeah, I knew what he was doing. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Just wow.
Somebody in the chat just asked what's the phone number. And it's super simple. 304-804-7277. 304-804-7277. Or J-Pink made it easy for us. 304-80-GRASS. 304-80-GRASS. And, if you want to talk about your GIE experience, we can talk about that. We can talk about ours to an extent. We had a great time. Have y'all recovered? Are you back to 100%? Do you feel in excess of 100%? Oh, boys.
100%.
Y'all hear it?
Oh, man. Here we go.
Gentlemen, you are live on the air. Thank you for calling in. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking with?
How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Nano Matrix.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Here we go.
What's going on, dude? How are you?
Live from the deserts, not the desert, high desert Southwest. High desert Southwest.
Yes, sir. I missed being with you guys this past week. It sounds like it was a blast.
Oh, it was beyond a blast. It was intensely fun. That's the best way I could describe it. Intensely fun.
Imagine
I'm gonna look up
100,000 people in the lawn care industry descending upon a city with one intent, and that is the intent is debauchery. Right? The equipment and all that stuff comes second to what the true intent is.
Yeah.
The true intent is just pure debauchery, hanging out with buddies.
Those are props.
Burning down a city. Yeah.
Yep.
So it was a great time. But what about you? You called in? Do you have a question for us? You just want to shoot the shit? How are you, sir?
Yeah. There's something happened today. I've got a birthday coming up, and
happy birthday.
One of my family said, "Is there anything you want for the lawn? Is there anything you want?" And I think I'm at a point where I can say, I don't know that there's something that I need for the lawn. And that's a strange place to be.
Wrong answer.
Wow.
Wrong answer.
Yeah. I was gonna say there's definitely something.
Hey, don't give in to the terrorists here, man. All right. You always have to.
So
have an
what
answer.
am I missing? Yeah, what am I
so
missing?
So you're cutting with the reel, correct?
Yeah, and I have a Greensmaster and parts for it since last fall, and I need to get that going for next year. We dropped sand this fall, and that half-inch of sand over the top of the Kentucky bluegrass is doing well, and so leveled it before a renovation, topsoil, and recovering from that with sand this fall. And that Greensmaster out there next spring ought to be running on smooth ground. I have the rotary scissors to work around some trees in different areas, and a push reel that I used this year, and I'm very happy pushing. So can trim around trees in some of my harder areas and get the open areas with the motorized reel. And fertilizer-wise, Green Doc has got me dialed in to a pretty sweet recipe, spraying out there. What am I missing, guys? What should I get?
Well, I know for me personally, the start of any good lawn care season begins with bourbon. It's kind of the recipe that keeps on giving, right? That at the start of every week, you go and you choose a new bourbon that will guide you the remainder of the week. So
hey, it's
spitballing here. That's the first thing that comes to my head.
I like this idea. Yeah. I do need
the bourbon thing's
bourbon
good.
for the lawn care.
Well, the thing about it here, right? gentlemen, is that if you have a good day, you can have some bourbon right in the lawn, and if you have a bad day, you can also have more bourbon, and that'll make everything better, right? So,
It is a
Ray,
win-win here.
it is. It's a good investment
Hmm.
for all occasions, right? For all occasions. Ray, I'm curious to hear your answer. I've got a couple ideas, but I want to hear what you've got first.
Okay. What I would want for a lawn that has almost everything is the means to either thin or verticut. Because,
Okay.
as you know, not too long ago, I acquired a mower that came with a groomer, and you know that feeling that you get when you realize what you've been missing all along?
Yeah.
I got that feeling. I got that feeling
That's great.
because, I've been running that groomer on the various lawns, and contrary to what people might think, it's even valuable and usable on lawns that are a little bit higher than green height. It still works and it still serves a function because those vertically oriented blades serve to lift up and pick up the grass so that, when you're running that over the turf, the grass is cut, very nicely with less grain formed, less of the grass lying over. It's just, how did I get along all these years without it?
Right. Well,
So,
the Greensmaster I got does have the groomer on
hmm
the front, but early on, Ray, you and I discussed that, and that on the
hmm
Kentucky Blue, that's just going to beat it up. So, what options
yeah.
might I have if it does get to a point where I want to open that canopy up a little bit
Well,
or
the
whatnot?
thing about doing KBG is that you cannot beat it up as hard as I do Zoysia and Bermuda.
Oh
You
no.
can do it once in a while. Yeah, but then
Right.
you can't be nasty to it. You can't be brutal where I set the groomer down, as far as it'll go
Oh
and
God.
hit it twice a month. Bad idea, right, Ryan?
Yeah, you better put the ball. You better put the ball gag in its mouth before you do that. So, uh, uh, a couple of things. I liked Ray's point, and that's what I was thinking. That's where I was headed to with KBG. Was so J Pink, throw up the first link I sent you, and I think this. So they make tools and implements similar to this in a larger scale for golf course and sports turf applications, right? With the lawn that you have, and I remember the pictures of what it looks like. It's kind of tight, and they don't make a tool that's like mid-size, right, between like a tractor pulled unit and this, unfortunately. But I think this would serve you well because you can do other things with it. But it's absolutely fantastic, especially in a Kentucky bluegrass situation where you're what? Remind me of your head to cut again, like 3/4.
Yeah, 7/8, 3/4 or 7/8, and
Perfect.
5/8 on the bench, but it's not.
Okay.
With that manual reel, I'm floating up on that dense canopy at this point. So
Okay.
real height, 3/4 is a better number.
Gotcha. And
so,
so, go ahead, Ray.
so I think when somebody tells me that they're floating, that basically is an indicator to thin or groom one time. That's my
Mhm.
indicator, my sign that kind of is indicated. I'm not saying, however, to do that every time, and even in my case, that is not something that I'm going to be doing regularly or frequently either. Especially with me coming into what I consider the non-growing season in Hawaii. Grass stops growing, you know, middle of next month for me.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Middle to end of December, grass doesn't grow, so I should be mindful about beating it up. because it might not get back up.
So, well, yeah, and that's something too, especially in his climate, right, where it's still pretty mild temperatures and everything right now, but it will get cold, right, coming into the next few months. And so there's going to be a period where, like, a point of no return as far as these very aggressive cultural practices. So a couple things too. On the groundskeeper rake, all you're going to do is drag that through the lawn a couple different directions and try to lift up and stand up what you can and clip that off. You're going to also lift up some of the daughter plants that are coming off of the rhizomes, and hopefully create a couple of new growth points and continue to try and build that density. So all that being said,
Sure.
the next thing I was going to ask about your greens master, is it a grooved roller or a solid front roller that you have on that bad boy?
I have a grooved roller. Now, it's not the greens master that's floating, it's the manual reel that is.
Right.
Once
But
I
that's
get that,
that's
it is a
telling me.
grooved roller.
Yeah, okay, so that's telling me, with your manual that's floating, it's telling me that it's time to go ahead and throw your grooved roller on there. Now, you're not down low enough to have this phenomenon happen. Ray would understand this, and Matt from his golf course days. When you throw that grooved roller on there, whatever you set to bench, your actual height of cut's probably going to be somewhere around 5 thousandths lower in effect, right, when you go ahead and put the mower on there. Not a big deal for you, but for those folks that are super picky about actual and bench height versus actual, that's where you can go. So I would encourage you to do that, mixing those two things together, right? So continually using that grooved roller is a good idea. The only thing you got to be careful with the grooved roller is if you have some really tight areas that you're going to trim on your perimeter passes and things like that, the turning on that repeatedly in the same area can get a little dicey in terms of the traffic concerns and things like that. So just think about that. Keep it in mind. Right. Maybe just mow those passes, every other time with the manual reel as opposed to your greens master, and manage it that way. So the last thing here, in terms of your quality of cut that you just mentioned, J Pink, throw that second link up there. This is for the nerds of nerds, folks, right? This is the tri-lambs, lambda, right? This is, you buy one of these and then you go in the moon room with a cheerleader, right? That's the two things you do right here. This bad boy will show you, if you look on the right there, it's kind of hard to see because the pictures on the actual screen aren't that great, but it gives you a graduated breakdown here in terms of what your actual height of cut is when you set this down. It's like a two-way mirror. And then what else it'll show you too, you can see kind of where you have some stragglers leading up here. So your actual quality of cut, how many stragglers you're leaving behind, things like that. So it's a good way to really, if you're going to get serious about dialing in your quality of cut, an absolutely indispensable tool to do that. So I think with all those things, right, that we just said, bourbon, number one, I mean, you got to have bourbon. Number two, Ray's idea of using that groomer and maybe changing your philosophy a little bit differently than his. And then finally, these two things to do what I call texture and quality of cut management. I think that these things are going to be something that you actually see a pronounced benefit from, especially at the height of cut that you're at, the grass type and the climate that you have, all those things combined. So I think those are all great birthday presents. You're probably, depending on what kind of bourbon drinker you are, you might be in the, $500 price tag altogether on something like that. But, you're worth it, man. You deserve it. So I'm happy for you. Happy pre-birthday, right? I'm glad you could join us for this.
Happy birthday.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Any other questions?
No, not for tonight. I'll let some other callers get on here, but I do appreciate everything you guys have done for me in this journey, and I look forward to sharing more with you guys in the future. Have a wonderful night. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you,
Keep on
sir.
keeping on,
Good
man.
night. Yeah, good night. And
Man, I'm
thanks for
so
calling.
glad. I'm so glad I could conjure up that answer by riding on your coattails, gentlemen. It feels good. I could just
That
pull
was a
out of
good
thin
one
air.
because
Yeah.
I had nothing, clearly. When in doubt, you go bourbon, right? If you would like to call in and be on the show, 304-804-7277.
Uh-oh.
Caller, you are on the air. Caller.
Yes.
Caller, you're on
You
the air.
there?
Yes.
Yes, Matt. My name is JC. I'm from, I live in the Charlotte area, North Carolina.
All right,
First-time caller, long-time listener.
Welcome
I'm
aboard the
actually
Soul
an
Train, sir.
account. Yeah, and it's a privilege to talk to all three of you. I have listened to your show probably over the past 2 years, and I have learned so much. And I just can't thank you enough for all the science and knowledge and techniques and everything that you, all three of you, give to some of us that try to make our lawns look good. But just a quick question. I have tall fescue in my yard. It's about 5,000 square feet. My pH right now is about 6.7. In the backyard, I get a lot of sun. Grass is green, thick, really nice. Front is I got two big trees. I get a lot of shade, so it's not as thick as but my sidewalk, the grass is very hard to grow on the sidewalk. My magnesium is really high, about 500 parts per million. CECs is about 14. So I'm trying to, what can I do to grow grass in that little, the sidewalk between my front yard and that little, it's about 250 square feet. And that
Let me ask you a question.
My butt.
Have you ever taken a sharpshooter shovel and just dug around in those areas of the hell strip?
Yes, sir. And I actually, in fact, I just dug up a portion about maybe it was about 20 square feet of that, and I took out about those 5-gallon Home Depot buckets full of rocks.
Yeah.
Little rocks,
Ooh.
big rocks.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking that the whole thing, but I'm telling you, when I did that, it took me about 2 hours. It was almost like trying to put my shovel in that dirt. It was like putting a shovel through concrete. I mean, it
Oh,
kicked
yeah.
my
Yeah.
butt, and it was only like 20 square feet.
How
Okay.
old is your house,
So-
roughly? Curious. Just when was the neighborhood built?
It's about probably 20 years.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I can picture this whole scenario in my head right now. Go ahead, Ray.
I'm familiar with this situation, and I'm already formulating a plan of attack. And you know what that plan of attack includes? A 35 to 40 pound demo hammer. And
Oh no, Ray.
you,
Ray, I'm thinking a 50 to 60 horse mini X, and we're gonna dig this whole thing down 6 inches and just replace all the soil. Because here, listen. Ray, you tell me if this is wrong. If in your book you wouldn't do this. Now, to hire somebody to come out, and you can get pretty much any swinging dick probably to come out there and clean that out pretty well.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to call the local utilities and get everything marked because you're in a right of way, all that kind of stuff. But you dig this down, you haul it off. It's about 4, maybe 5 yards of dirt when it's all said and done. If it's really 200 square feet, okay, and you're going about 6 inches or maybe a little bit more to get some of the rocks out. So you figure, okay, you're going to pay somebody maybe $1,000 to come in and just haul it away. You can call the local topsoil place, and likely they're going to have something called a slinger truck. Slinger truck's nice
Mhm.
because you can pull up, offload all that dirt, and spread it right in there as you go. Right? You don't have to, have it dumped in a pile and do all that BS. So it depends on how serious you are, JC. Of working with what's there, I think is going to be problematic, and you're always going to fight it. Right, Ray? Like, you tell me, gentlemen. Like, when I hear this, I'm thinking just 86 the whole thing and blow it up and start over. But if you
Yeah.
had to
Let me
manage
throw-
through this, I mean,
Let me give you a little more controversial of an answer. Is you're in Charlotte and you're growing tall fescue. It's hot there. It's hot.
Yes.
So
It-
even if you do
Yeah.
that, you have to understand that a 20% loss year over year is to be 100% expected, just due to the proximity of the concrete. the additional heat that section is going to face, and that may not be acceptable to you. So, I think what you have to weigh is being good with a 20% loss if you do excavate it out, or are you good with whatever percent loss you take right now and not doing anything with it, and then digging out a few handfuls of rocks from time to time when you got spare time?
And I
Yeah,
have a third solution.
yeah.
I have a third solution. Uh,
Hold your breath.
how married are
Hawaii.
you? No, how married are you to turf type tall fescue? Because
Yeah, I mean, I really like tall fescue just because, it's one of those that I don't want a lot of maintenance. I mean, I do take care of my lawn. I know my.
I think we may have lost him there. I think I heard it clip.
oop,
But case in point here is that's a good point, Ray. And hey, tell me I'm crazy here, but you know what I'm feeling fresh about? Laying down a little Meyer Z52 Zorja.
you know what, Matt? I could agree with that. I could actually agree with that. And here's why I could agree with that. Not only will that Z52 probably survive there, there's a possibility that it's going to take over the whole freaking neighborhood. He'll become the neighborhood's favorite person. Just saying. Just saying.
If
I
he
mean,
likes
that,
low maintenance, right? I mean, it
Mhm.
would be relatively simple. It's kind of a set it and forget it, right? Just don't fertilize it at the same time you're fertilizing your tall fescue, right? You could
Mhm.
almost entirely leave it alone, and it's going to turn green in the spring, and it's going to go dormant in the fall, right? And if you feel real froggy, you get out there on the 4th of July and sprinkle you a handful of whatever on it, and it'll turn nice and pretty and ultra dark green. But Miner Z52 in and of itself as just a cultivar, I mean, it's not hideously ugly, and has decent color. We got another caller here. Caller, you're back, or is it a new caller?
New caller.
Oh,
Ooh.
we're playing Guess the Voice. Who do we have on the line here?
Oh, come on. You don't know this voice?
I'm
Okay.
gonna go with. I was reading the chat earlier, so I'm gonna go with Castleberry.
Come on, brother. How's doing?
What are you doing?
I
It's
am
less-
sitting here trying to work and edit and do things that happened 2-3 years ago, and I'm failing miserably because I'm listening to you fools.
Well, that's good.
We're glad we
I'm
can.
happy.
We're glad we
Yeah.
can be part of your failure. That's what we're here for.
That's wonderful, guys. I just wanted to pop in real quick, say hello, see how you guys are doing, and just let you know that the lawn care community appreciates you, and you keep doing what you're doing. You're making an impact.
I appreciate that.
Thank
Hey,
you.
coming
sir.
from you,
That was
Thank
coming
sweet.
from you. Seriously, we do appreciate that coming from you. Of all people, you would know. So thank you. Hope everything's well out there with you.
Is it snowing
It's
yet?
good. We've got snow on the mountaintops. It is slowly creeping down into the valley. Things are slowing down. Leaves are falling, and we're probably going to have 12 inches of snow on Halloween. Probably not. Maybe just a hail and sleet storm with a tornado. Who knows? You never know what the weather's doing out here.
Wow.
That sounds terrible.
Well,
You did a really good job of
Matt
selling
would-
Utah as a location there. I mean that
Yeah.
we got tornadoes already. I'm scared, and then we've got snow. I'm even more frightened of snow compared to tornadoes. That was it, and I know y'all
Maybe an
got fire.
earthquake.
Here's the thing, though.
Could do an
Fire is a
earthquake,
plus one for me. If you can recall in my history, one thing I'm not afraid of is fire. I'll burn anything down.
a deep
Yeah, I'm
fried
pretty sure
Right.
turkey.
insurance would have covered that.
I'll burn my insurance policy.
Yeah, there you go. That's the
I'm
way to
getting
do it.
choked over here. Thank you for calling in, Paul. It's always good to hear from you, sir.
You bet. Hey, you guys
keep doing, put up the good, keep putting up the good fight, keep on keeping on, and we'll talk to you later. I'm going to pass it off to whoever else is brave enough to jump on. Keep it cool, guys.
Thank
We'll
you,
talk to you
sir.
later.
We'll see you.
Stay safe, man.
There it is. There it is. If you would like to be on the air, again, we could talk about whatever it is you like. We're not here to throw stones or any of that sort. If you got a question for Ray, if you got a question for Ryan, what a perfect time to call in. I don't have to run my yapper. I promise. I like to hear myself talk. I promise there's no one that enjoys hearing myself talk more than I do. That's for sure. 304-804-7277. That is the number. You dial it, you hear it get patched through right on air, and then we bring you on. It's as simple as that. And we do have another caller, gentlemen. Caller, you are live. Welcome to Thirsty Thursday. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking with here?
Mr. Mills from Mechanicsville, Maryland.
All right. What's going on, Mr. Mills? From where in Maryland?
Mechanicsville, Maryland. Have you ever heard of St. Mary's County?
I have not, but I'm
No,
Googling
but
it right
Google it.
now.
Yeah, we're in the southern Maryland.
Is that Farmtown?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, yeah. I
Oh,
see
I
where
see.
you are over here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting over there to the waterway.
Delmarva area. Yeah.
No.
No,
Delmarva.
it's just on the
Yeah,
other side. It's
that's
not Delmarva.
Delmarva's
It's not. It's
further
on the
down.
other side. It's on the other side. That's the other side. So St. Mary's County. So
Like
what's going on
Richmond.
there?
Well, I'm probably like Richmond, Virginia. Not that far from Richmond. Probably
Okay.
like 2 hours.
Gotcha.
So, the question I have is, recently started a lawn care business, and I have probably about 25, 30 customers. So, my question is, as far as when you guys started your businesses, how did you really get to the point you are right now?
Well,
let me
man.
ask you this: Are you a full service maintenance or just Furt and Squirt? How are you going about this?
Well, basically, like you say, Furt and Squirt.
Okay.
Okay.
But I do have some full service customers that I do take care of.
Okay.
So I mean, there's a lot of different ways to kind of approach this. You know,
yeah.
I'll tell you from the days that I was in lawn care, and to be fully transparent with you, I'm not in lawn care anymore. Any kind of lawn care work I do right now is purely as an independent contractor working for another company, not self-employed anymore. But I did a lot of that, and I did it in a very what I call volume lawn care corporate way, and then I did it as self-employed. And I'll say if I had to narrow it down into the three most important parts, number one would be developing your business systems, right? So that would be your system for handling lead generation, your system for handling once a customer is in your lead funnel and you're taking them from a quote to a customer, right? So that includes like onboarding, all the information you share with them at the time of onboarding, the information you share with them at the time of the quote, all of that be lumped into a system. And then another system for the actual applications, right? What information are you leaving with them when you make an application? Are you communicating with them before you show up, or are you touching base with them after you show up? So having business systems in place, or even when you get in at the end of the day, how are you recording all the applications you made? Are you recording on just a sheet of paper and you're filing that? Are you bringing everything into a single document where you've got a rolling history on a single page or a single spreadsheet or something like that? Invoicing and billing, developing a system around that, right? So the systems, the architecture of your business is incredibly important, because the faster you dial that in, then it becomes more secondhand that when you start onboarding new employees, you're used to developing those systems and it becomes kind of second nature, right? And so you can pull that person into your company and quickly onboard them into your company culture, right?
Yes. Yes.
So systems would be incredibly important. Number two would be marketing, right? You have to market yourself, and there's a million different ways to market yourself. Some I understand, some of them I don't. Um,
Yes.
how do you want to brand yourself? Are you an organic guy? Are you a conventional guy? Are you an agronomy guy? What sets you apart from the competition, and understanding what
Yes.
you want your target customer to be. So when you build your marketing programs, you're going after what you perceive to be your ideal client, right? And some of that may include
Yes.
like client validation, right? Or a pre-screening of sorts, right? To make sure that even before you step foot on their yard, you've had enough of a conversation to know whether or not they're going to work. And if they're not going to work, purge them and just don't even entertain it. Move on to the next one, right? So
Yes,
marketing
sir.
is a huge one in getting to that next level. And then number three, I can't remember what I was thinking with number three. I'm drawing a blank now. Um, uh, I apologize. I have
Oops.
not slept in now I'm at 40 hours. I can say with certainty now it's been 40 hours since I've been asleep. But um I would say something along the lines of dialing in a program that is going to be as specific as you can get it, right?
Uh-huh.
No, I remember what it was. I remember what it was. It was deciding what kind of business do you want to be, right? Do you want to be an
Okay.
ultra high end provider that's only taking on a few customers, charging a very healthy premium for your expertise, or
Mhm.
do you want to be on the volume side of things where you're looking to pick up 400, 500, 600 customers, have one, two, three trucks on the road, and eventually remove yourself from the business and let somebody else handle the whole thing, right? I feel
Yes.
like deciding that early on, and whatever decision you do make, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer there. They're both right answers, but ultimately, whichever one you do choose, don't let it bleed into the other. Right? It's very
Exactly.
difficult being from a psychological standpoint of selling yourself as an expert, but providing high volume lawn care. Right? Because
Yes.
is you have to drive past these lawns that are all eat up with brown patch and pythium, and they're not buying fungicide applications from you. Um,
Yes.
it's really difficult to not want to pull over and either slap the shit out of whoever signed up for the service there,
Yes.
or not just fire out the permagrain and just go ahead and do the cheapest fungicide application you can to get it down because you're sick of it looking that way and your signs in the yard and
Uh-huh.
you're scared other people are going to see it and equate you with that level of work, right? So
Yes.
those would be the things I would focus on. That
Uh-huh.
would accelerate growth. It may slow you down a bit in the beginning while you get all that figured out, but once you
Uh-huh.
do, that will allow you to skyrocket to the type of business you want to be. Ray,
Exactly.
Ryan, where am I at on this with y'all?
Ray, you want to go first? You want me to?
You go ahead, Ryan. You go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Matt touched on a couple important things of identifying your ideal client relative to your business model, right? So,
Yes, sir.
some people were mentioning in the chat that volume lawn care right now is really really tough to scale at once because you're going to have to hire people, right? And then they're going to have to know your system, so all the more reason to have that in place. But can you hire somebody at a rate that's going to make sense for the long-term viability and profitability of your business right now, given the labor market and where things are? And so,
Mhm.
for me, I do believe that the market really exists in many 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 places, right, throughout the country, and I'm not as clued in on St. Mary's County, Maryland, but I
Yes.
have to think that there's enough folks out there that want a premium product, right, at a premium price, that you can build a business around that and scale it up slowly as a one-man band, right? And
Yes.
Matt and Ray could tell you probably the same thing, that most guys get to that somewhere between, it depends on the market, right, obviously, and what you're charging, but you know $200,000 to $300,000 mark, and that's sort of like the absolute peak of what you can do by
Yes.
yourself, right, in terms
Yes.
of
Okay.
just cranking stuff out. Now, all that being said, you can build a nice lifestyle business around that, right? Where, okay, yeah, there's going to be 7, 8 months where it's kicking your butt and it's, 60, 65 hours a week, but you can still plan around it, right? And still work around that. And then in the wintertime, maybe there's not that much to do and maybe that's okay. It really depends on
Yes.
what you want and where you're at in the stage of your life to be able to say, hey, I want to grow and I want to scale this and I want to have employees and multiple crews and everything like that. And trust me, I talked to a lot of guys last week, in different stages of this whole business development piece. And
Yes.
the thing I heard about from everybody was, I can't find people and it's causing me stress. And even the people I have are causing me stress because I want to make sure they're doing a good job and I can't be everywhere at
True.
once. And I'm used to, came from a place, right, where I was able to do everything and see everything and be involved in everything. And now I simply can't be. And that gives me anxiety, right? And so
Yes.
that's a hard thing to let go of. So I would say, in my mind, it is this. It is, who are those clients and where are those places? The Matt Martin special, right? You go in there and you pimp one lawn on the block and just tits it out, make it look amazing, so that everybody's like, okay, I'm calling that guy, right? You leave
Yes.
that entire street no choice but for you to be the first call. And you can do that. You can target different areas and neighborhoods and study your competition. That's one other thing too, is studying your competition a little bit to see where some of the gaps and cracks are in their service offerings and service delivery, that you can kind of wedge your way in, right? And either ride behind them. I mean, I know I have friends different parts of the country that have an entire business model that's built on following around different companies that do trash work and coming in behind them, cleaning it up and looking like, the knight in shining armor. So there's a
Exactly.
lot of different ways to go about it. I think the most important thing, though, right, is you get all that stuff done. And I agree with Matt on the business system side, but the other thing too, and you're going to see this coming up, and Ray can probably speak to it a little bit too, but the agronomic side is going to get a little scary here, in 22 and 23. And that's not to sound alarmist. That's not to go not so, but the people that really have their stuff together from an agronomic perspective are going to be the ones that make it through this very profitably and in good shape. The people that don't,
Yes.
I think, are going to not only struggle to deliver the results, but they're going to also struggle with product challenges in terms of getting product that they want, or having to accept subpar product that may not deliver the same results. And you're about to separate the they thems from the other they thems. How's that?
Exactly.
Can't say the men from the boys anymore, can you?
Right.
I think.
No, you can. You
Ray,
can.
what do you got?
And last piece that I'm going to give you, and Matt can even hammer home this point as well, is that when you're differentiating yourself as to who you want to service, it is extremely important to really decide which direction you are going to go in and stick to it. And in my case, I have made the decision a long time ago that there are certain kinds of or levels of work that I'm not interested in dealing with. I provide a certain product, and if that's what you're looking for, fabulous. If you want something else, I think you need to look elsewhere for it. Because let's put it this way. Tell me now, do you go into Walmart looking for $1,000 handbags for your wife or your mom? Do you do that? No. Likewise, for me, I don't have any interest in dealing with the high volume, high hour, low value work. Everything I touch, everything I do has to be highly profitable, and it has to be very efficient. So
Yes.
as a result of that, I can exist where I'm at, not having multiple trucks, multiple crews, even employees even. I don't need to do it. But the flip side of that is that I'm not trying to be Walmart with the Coach or Danakaran handbags. You know,
Exactly.
I do what I'm doing and I stick to it.
Exactly. I get your point.
Okay.
So JC, what I would tell you to do is this, you have 30 clients right now. Think about, if you were going to separate those clients into, your A clients, your B clients, and your C clients, because everybody's got them, right? Like, I don't know how that
Yep.
breaks down in terms of percentages or numbers, raw numbers in that 30, but go find your top ones that you like to deal with, that pay on time, that appreciate your work, and that that you can showcase your talents, and take your business to the next level, right? And think about the
Yes.
traits that they all have in common, and that will help you identify that ideal client. Because sometimes it's hard. Like, you think about, well, I need, somebody in a $500,000 house in, a new suburb, blah, 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 blah. Like, that's all good, but like, I think you're going to find
However,
commonalities in the type of people that you're
however,
working with already. However,
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, be careful because what I had to learn in the financial crisis of 2008 was I had to be extremely careful about who actually was doing well and who was going to transfer their financial uncertainties onto me. And the fortunate thing for me at that time is that I didn't blow up big in 2007 when I started my business. So I was able to tell people when the stock market crashed, for example, I'm so sorry to hear that. It was a pleasure doing business with you. Let me know if things change for you after. Good day.
Ray just straight up breaking up. Hey, you're not doing as well financially. Guess what? This is not going to work out. I love you, Ray.
Well,
Um,
it's
and
not
that
it's not
goes
a matter
back
of
to
that, right?
that system of qualifying. I know. I'm
Yeah.
just teasing you. I'm just teasing you.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
No, but it is qualifying your customers for sure, and understanding what they do and how they operate and things that might impact their ability to keep you on, right? So,
Yes.
all good things, and I'm anxious to hear. J Pink, we'll have to get some contact information off the air here and bring this gentleman on. I know that I know you told us to not tease this out because we're booking into like February now, but gosh darn it, we got to fill up the schedule. All right.
I know. Send us an email, mail@thegrassfactor.tv. I want to link you up with
Please,
Cam,
JC.
Elevated Lawnscapes, who's in Maryland as well too, and is going to be going down a similar path. So he said he'd
What's
like to
your
get to know you as
email
well.
again?
Mail@thegrassfactor.tv.
Mail@grassfactor.tv.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's definitely. I definitely will do that. And one little quick question I have for you guys. As far as your winterizer, when you put your
Sure.
winterizer down, okay, and I have a turf type tall fescue in my lawn. Do you put your winterizer down at a certain soil temperature, or do you put it down after four weeks after you done your aeration and seeding? At least you got at least 2 or 3 cuts on it.
I call it anytime. So I'll give you the volume lawn care answer, right? And
Yeah.
I would put it down basically, and this is based on my temperatures where you are. I'm going to give you a second answer, right? Where I am, that's going to be between November 15th and December 15th is when I'm doing. Because that is approximately 30 days before we stop growing. Where you are, I would say that would be between October 15th and November 15th. Which I would say arguably is about 30 days before you stop growing. So
30 days
that's
before I stop growing. Yes.
and where I would have to time it is that I've got to get to 400 yards, right? And I know
Yes.
that last application, spreading urea or ammonium sulfate, whatever it is I'm
Yeah.
putting out, just slinging it as fast as I can is going to take me 30 days
Yeah.
to get it down. So,
Yeah.
I would time out what I would assume to be 30 days before everything shut down and just start letting it fly.
Because I know in Maryland we can't put down any fertilizers after November 15th.
Yeah, well, that works perfect. That is perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
And
So
I would tell you that you time your nitrogen applications for when the grass is still growing and able to uptake that nitrogen, irregardless of what the date is on the calendar. Because do you know why Maryland says no nitrogen after November 15th?
it's because of the Chesapeake Bay.
No,
Uh,
it is because too many people are doing things when they are agronomically ill advised.
okay.
That's the exact answer. I mean, the side effect of that is that those ill advised applications have an environmental consequence.
Yes. Yes, sir.
So last thing I'll say is that temperature is important, but what we know from the most recent research out there on this topic, JC, is that it's really a function of the plant's demand for water, right? Because N is entering the plant through the solution of water that's being taken up by the roots, right? So when that demand slows down, so too does the uptake of nitrogen. And so, in particular, in your case, and where you're at, and the concerns, with leaching and loss potential of that nitrogen, it's really, really important to time up this app while you're still taking that up.
Okay.
So, in my mind, right, like I would probably put a hard stop on all nitrogen applications in your case in most typical years, say around November 1st. I'd beat that November 15th date by a couple of weeks most years.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think your go zone is really going to be anytime October 1 to November 1, depending on the year. And certainly,
Okay.
if you're high end, like if you're going to go that route and not be on the commodity side, then I'd be going
Yes, sir.
for more applications, lighter rates, right, leading into that window. So September, October, maybe that's 3 apps that are 3 weeks apart over that 8 to 10 week span, something like that. So
Okay.
that's a better and more efficient way to do it to get the most bang for your buck. Now obviously there's a labor component there, all that kind of stuff, but from an agronomic perspective, that's going to be your best bet. So you kind of got all of it, all the perspectives here, right? And
Yes, sir.
those are things that we'd love to dive in and dive deep with you here if we can get you on the show. So definitely email us and check us out. I'm going to warn you, we're booking 4 months
February.
out almost right now. Yeah. So, but
Okay.
we'd certainly love to have you on. And in the meantime, you've got our email, and we can pick away and maybe hone in on a show agenda as you continue to build the business here over the next 4 months. But if we don't talk to you, happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving, happy New Year's, all that other
Same
stuff.
to you
And
guys. Same to you guys.
yeah, keep listening. We really appreciate the support, man.
Oh, I
Yeah,
will.
thank you. This is
You
a
guys
great
give a lot of
conversation.
great information, and you help a lot of people out, and and I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, man. You have a good one out there.
You too, sir.
All right, we'll see you. What a great call. That was a great call. I
Yeah.
forget.
Hey.
Like a lot of times when I think back about my like real lawn care career. By the way, if you'd like to be on the air, 304-804-7277, 304-80 grass. And you can be on here and ask us questions. You can ask Ryan a question. You can ask Ray a question. Doesn't have to be directed towards me. I'll probably chime in with my 2 cents because I have an ego the size of a 1,600 square foot house that needs to be filled up. But it is what it is. But I was.
What are we going to fill it with?
Horse shit.
Bourbon.
All the other craziness that goes on in my head. And a lot of times I think back on lawn care and I remember the pain points. This reminds me of the good points. Caller, you are on the air. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking with?
Did I win? Did I win the permagreen? Did I win it?
You damn right you did. You damn right.
I won the permagreen?
You called the right show.
Yeah,
to win the
baby.
permagreen. Celebrating
Oh,
with
yeah.
the beer. celebrating with the beer?
Now listen.
We're having a beer.
You agreed. You agreed to all the conditions that went with that contest. So we're gonna ship it to you one part at a time for the next 89 weeks, and you have to assemble it.
I like it. That sounds like a challenge. I can't wait to get halfway done and try to use it.
I'll
Hey,
help
it's supply
you,
chain,
Leshy.
man. We're doing the best we can.
Yeah.
This is what.
I'll
Oh yeah,
help you.
it's half. Sir, half of your product is out in the ocean, sitting in a container ship.
Yeah, actually, that's not too far from the truth right now. And it's funny. Somebody I was talking to someone that was having trouble getting engines. I know that was the case. It was more than one. It was like a dozen different companies were having trouble getting engines, and I was like, oh boy. It's like funny you tell me that because the guy before you told me the exact same thing. It's a tough world out there, Lushy. Are you thinking about opening up a port off the coast of your little piece of paradise there, and we start running 247 unloading container ships? I think we could do it. We could do it by
Yeah,
hand, right?
yeah, we could do that. I think we can get them up the 10-mile river here in Navajo, and we float them up in a canoe.
Yeah, I mean that sounds
I think
like
we
a
can get it
winner,
done.
right? We'll float them down to Tennessee just for grins and giggles, just to show them the beauty that exists down here, all the rivers that run through Knoxville. Like, sir, I
Oh,
was trying to get to Canada. Like, you're good. You're good. Enjoy Tennessee.
You're good.
Have a good one.
You'll make it. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're off
Ryan
the boat.
DeMay's
That's
this
all you
way,
gotta worry about.
and then take a right when you get to Ryan DeMay, and you'll find Lushy.
There you go. Seriously,
Yep.
that's the easiest way to do it. Easiest way to do it.
When you
If
have
you
to show your
find Ray,
passport for
you've
it,
gone too
all
far.
right.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if
Definitely,
you, if
yeah,
you,
turn
if,
around, come back at that point.
yeah, if I see you all in Honolulu Harbor, you've gone way too darn far.
So
Talk
what
to me,
are
Leshy.
your
What are you
guys'
doing?
thoughts? I got a question. A serious question. What are you guys' thoughts? I may or may not have spoken to some of these guys. A couple guys reach out once in a while asking what I think about going into business. What are your thoughts about someone? I think it's a good idea for someone to try to get into business now, even though prices are going to kind of go a little crazy, because they're going to have the ability to kind of set their pace off of the prices being so high, their material cost.
Ooh, so
Well,
like jumping in at the market high kind of thing.
I mean,
I
that's
have
pretty
a
much what
theory.
these guys are kind of looking at.
My theory is that the pressure of the cost of doing business right now, with it being so high, it will breed innovation. And getting fresh blood in there to shake shite up and stir the pot a bit is always a positive thing, because the people who are good at reading the market will see the good that's being brought into it and see the bad that's being brought into it. And if you're on your A game, you'll be able to pivot, right? So I don't know. That's as good as I got.
That's a good take. I mean, I think here's what I would say. Just these conversations we've just had thus far is like, if you're just gonna kind of like dip your toe in the water and not be like serious about it, then I don't know how well it's gonna go. I'm not saying that you have to be huge and get 100 clients your first year, right? And get to six figures, in 2022 and consider yourself a success. But it depends on the person. I wish I could give you a better answer, but just in thinking about it in theory, just from the pricing standpoint of, hey, do I get in now and jump in? All I'm going to say is, with the way the prices are going to be and the way that I think consumers are going to be that much more clued in on stuff, you got to be able to produce, right, Ray? Like, you're not going to be able to charge even the going rate, right, let alone higher prices, and then have a problem, have an accident, miss something, callbacks, all that kind of stuff. Like, that's just, I don't know that that's going to fly, because I think the competition is going to be that much more fierce. Don't you think, Ray?
Yeah.
Ryan,
hang on real quick, Ray. One thing I was going to say is real quick is y'all have to understand too that if you are planning on getting into the business this next year, if you think it's going to be as easy as picking up a True Green price sheet and operating off of it, look, they are planning right now. The big boys are planning to take losses for the next couple of years. They're going to operate at a loss. Can you afford to do that
Cost of doing
on
business.
your first couple of years, right? So if you are operating on their price sheet, you're operating at a loss. Just keep that in the back of your head. Go ahead, Ray.
Now, them
Okay.
operating on a loss, are they going to be maybe dialing it back a touch where a single operator style startup would be able to maybe charge a small percentage more, not operate on a loss, but give them the better quality?
Okay.
Yeah, it's more
Lashish,
complex than that.
Lashish,
Yeah.
I cringed and I saw Ryan cringe because my model has always been delivering results way above and beyond what people can typically get from high volume lawn care. In fact, in some cases, I even am favored over the so-called, larger, bigger companies because I offer extremely personalized service and I will do things that the larger companies will not do.
This is getting weird.
And no, and
$20 is
the,
20
the
bucks, Ryan.
and yeah, and for example, it's down to the idea of how many folks you know are all liquid. How many folks you know, for example, are real cut? How many folks you know are blade edged? It's things like that, that, differentiate myself. And, in other words, at no time did I ever entertain the possibility of me doing the same things that everybody else does, doing it the way they do it, and thinking that I'm going to make a good living doing it because they have the volume of scale I don't.
So I'm gonna Matt. I know you got something to say, and I'm gonna pose this question again because you brought it up in a certain way. And this also is a topic that we talked about briefly on Burn and Return, which is our podcast that records Sunday nights. And if you want to check that out, go ahead and check us out, www.patreon.com/Burn and Return. So the question I asked on
Sounds
there
interesting.
is if you had, yeah, it does sound interesting, right? Very intriguing.
Mhm.
If you had to project 5 years in advance, right, and kind of set your business model, don't think about scale and price necessarily, but like what would you be set up for to be like ahead of the curve? So you've had a little bit of time to chew on it, and this is sort of a question of, okay, hey, you jump in now, but I think to Matt's point, like the innovation piece, like not only if you're operating off the price sheet, right, that everybody else is doing, but I even think that we're about to see a seismic shift in the way, and that might be the thing. Like the I think from a True Green perspective or whoever, right, that they're going to take those losses, but you damn sure better bet they're going to be innovating and dumping a ton of cash into figuring out, okay, listen, like we can't hire guys either. We can't get the products at the prices that we're used to charging, right? So we have to reset the market. And guess who has the most market share and is able to affect that kind of change like that? We are. So I think there's ways to be ahead of that, right? As a small operator, one man band or a smaller group or whatever. But I've got my ideas, right? I'll share them on Burn and Return, but I want to hear real quick, Matt, where were you going with that? And what do you think in terms of the innovation piece and like how you're just not going to, it's not going to be as simple as going, hey, and saying, hey, I'm just going to add 5% to whatever True Green charges and I'll still be okay in 2022.
So, and I'm going to be fairly vague here. But I think a lot of the innovation you maybe see it would be in the way people package their lawn care offerings, right? Um, the yeah. So the packaging of their product that they're offering, right? Their lawn care service, the way they bundle that, the way they try to mitigate labor costs, right? I think you're going to see a lot more of the conversation we had with Dave. I think you're going to see a lot of people moving that direction, which is interesting because leading up to that conversation with Dave, I had a lot of people reach out to me about specifically that, and so it was perfect timing with the way that show came up, right? Um, and then where else was I going to go?
You got to write down your notes before you start talking.
I know. I'm sorry, I'm sleepless. Uh, but on the other piece, outside of just being innovative and new, like I remember in 2008, 2009, even bleeding into 2010, where so many people wanted to. They wanted to work outside, right? That was their big thing. Like, oh man, I want a job. I want to break up the monotony of working in an office. I'm going to get outside. And I'm going to love this. This is the way this usually goes. Is that it's I would argue that 70%, 75% of everybody that gets into the industry right now, because of whatever pain point or excitement that they feel, 75% of them are going to be out of it within 2 years. And that's purely because it is not what they thought it was. Um, Getting out and treating yards is the absolute basis of it, right? It makes up a very small percentage of what you actually do. Um, the overwhelming majority of what you're doing is actually building a business. And you have to approach it with the mindset of building a business first. There's a lot of costs that go along with that people aren't prepared for. Um, you have to you have to market yourself, and you have to market yourself in such a way that what differentiates yourself from True Green, because you can come out of the gate and say, oh well, I provide a better service, I provide better lawns. That's awesome. That's awesome. Why do people believe you? They've never seen your truck. They've never seen your face. They've never seen any yards you treat. You've only got 10 customers. They're spread out across all over. What are you going to tell them to drive, 40 miles away to go figure it out? It's a difficult thing. So now all of a sudden you've got to build a brand that in words is going to be catchy enough. And are you going to be able to do that on your first try? Right? Are you going to have a tagline out of the gate that everybody's going to come running to you? No, you're not. Maybe one out of 100 tries could you come up with a tagline that's going to turn people on to be like, I'm hiring this company instead of True Green because I believe exactly what they're telling me. So I think a lot of that innovation is going to come from the way people talk about themselves, right? And like I said, back to watching the people that pivot, they're going to see the ones that work and they're going to scoop it up. So if you do have success with one, like you've got to steer into it really hard and define it, right? You have to be the definition of whatever that tagline is. And that way, when anybody in your service area thinks of that tagline, they think of you, not your competition, because they know your competition. That's not their business model, or it just doesn't make sense that they could even carry that kind of powerful message. I know I'm kind of tapping around in vague generalities there, but I feel like to really
No, I
dive
think you're
into it, I'd
making.
need about 45 minutes.
I think you're making some good point. I mean, because when I started in the, all right, what is the local company charging? Big company, what are they charging? And that's how I started, because you didn't know what a price point was. I didn't know how long it was going to take me to go out and actually do the fertilizer on someone's property. Like there's a ground zero. You start at somewhere. Calculating, charting your times on a job. I mean, even if you're just going to spot spray, you're driving in to spot spray someone's yard. How long did it take me to spot spray? How much did I use? I mean, you need that for your chemical records anyways. You need that for
How long is
your
the drive time between stops? What is your average fuel
100%.
expenditure? What does it
Yeah,
cost
get
to
those.
turn
Hey,
on your
I
truck
mean, one
that
thing I
day
learned
from
from our
insurance
boys
costs and truck payments?
I learned from Hallgenics, get those golden roads. All those roads that you have all those customers on, don't give discounts. You want to have as many customers as you can, but don't give a discount on it, because Mrs. Smith moves away, the Jones get divorced, the Johnsons, they don't like how you look, and the Smiths are still there, and yeah, okay, that's great. Now you had 5, now you got 1. So it's I've I've played that. I've done that. Like, well, all right, what's everyone charging? This is what I should charge, and we've slowly just ramped up and said, okay, no, this is what we need to actually make money to do the way we want to do it and try to make a difference and be able to drive by that lawn and see the difference. When you get the phone call that says, okay, I took the dog for a walk, and everyone in my neighborhood that has your yard sign in it, their lawns look better than everyone else's around. Come do my lawn. That's what you want.
And from a financial
And again,
standpoint, you have to think about how long that takes, though, right? Like, how long does it take
right.
to have a large enough portion of the neighborhood to walk the lawns to put 2 and 2 together? Is it going to be the first year? Is it going to be the second year? Um,
Yeah.
I feel like also a lot of people that get into this the first year, here's some real hard numbers right here. Let's say you average $500 per year per customer, and you pick up 100 customers your first year. That is $50,000 in revenue. Let's say your total expenditures between either it's equipment cost or insurance cost, licensing fees, business expenses, and material cost, you're netting 50%. And that is generous, right? Chances are your first year,
Extremely.
you're going to be like 35 to 40%, right? And that's if you do everything by the book and you don't spill anything and you don't waste anything. You hammer it in, you're going to be 35, 40%. So you netted 50. I mean, you grossed 50K. What is 40% of 50K, right? Is that enough to live on? Is $22,000 good? Or does that scare you away? Like, where are you going to tap into for cash if that's the case? Do you have enough of a nest egg to be able to make that a reality? Then, and why I bring that up is that then what you'll do is you'll catch yourself taking on work to make up the additional money that you may not be suited for, that doesn't fit your business model, but you need the income. And Mrs. Jones is going to pay you $500 to trim your bushes, to trim her bushes. You trim her bushes, and it's just like, oh well, you do this now. Then all of a sudden you end up spending 3 days there, and then you're behind on your applications, and people are calling like, hey, when are you going to come out here? Like, oh yeah, well, I needed that money more than I needed your money, and so right, like now
Yeah.
you start to
Oh,
enter the spiral. You're entering the toilet bowl, and that's not a good place to be. That's difficult to get out once you're in it.
And that is a very good point, Lushy, in that I have no shame in, you know, charging what I charge, even though I don't have 20 trucks on the road and 100 employees. I don't care. I'm still
I'm
going
the same way.
to.
My comments are to most
I'm
people is we're 2 to 3 times over what you think, your true green applications are. We're above and beyond that because you've
Yeah.
had them. You're calling to me for a reason. I'm standing here because you're not happy. Well, you got your McDonald's cheeseburger. It's time to get a gourmet meal.
Exactly. It's basically I just put it to you this way, or put it to people this way, is that okay? So you're not happy with the people that come in once a month, string trim everything. There's weeds everywhere, etc., etc. But you then meet me and you expect me to work for the same price.
Mhm.
That's probably not going to work. That probably doesn't work. I mean, I'm, and I emphasize that. And I even remind people of that. And the moment somebody develops a short memory, as I am fond of saying, is when it is time for us to part ways.
I think it's going to be
No,
it's going to
valid
be
point.
interesting to watch the new blood come in this year. In the face of in the face of a post-pandemic environment, in the face of catastrophic fertilizer prices like we've never seen before, um, this is one hell of a shakeup that this industry hasn't seen since 2008, right? And this is arguably bigger than 2008. I don't know. This is one thing I can say about 2008 is that there were no jobs available, right? And so it brought a lot of people into the industry that were not previously into the industry, and that was a good thing. Um, right now, uh, it's an employee's market, right? So if you're not happy at your current job, you can go get another job very easily right now. Where at the time you couldn't, and so you had to settle. And where did people settle? They settled in lawn care. Right now, it's not a settler's market, and I think that's why you're seeing people starting businesses, right? That I don't have to settle to be an employee; I can settle to be a business owner, and
Right.
that's a different view than what we had in 2008. And I'm curious to see in 2031 what the shakeout of that is, right? Because it's and I use this, there is high turnover coming in this industry soon because of how old it is. Um, I think the statement is that 50% of the industry right now will be retired in the next 10 years. If I recall correctly, that was the quote I read. And so that's a lot of turnover. And if it's done right, the people that are coming into this industry right now from outside industries as business owners have a real opportunity as the old heads, as the dinosaurs, as the OGs begin to phase out.
Fair point.
Yep. Well, good talk, gentlemen. Good to hear from you again. I'm gonna let somebody else get on, and I'll listen in. Hey, and not a first time, but definitely a long time listener. Out.
Yes, you are, Lushy. Yes, you are. If you would like to call in and be on the show, super easy. 304 804 7277. That's 304 80 grass. Call in. I've actually got to step away for a second here, J Pink. So I'll turn this over to the boys and I'll be right back. Okay. I'll let you flip the screens
Yeah.
first.
Well, there we go. There we go.
There
So,
we are.
Ray, I'm curious too, like on the, I don't know, the business model side. There's a lot of talk. Like it seems like there's a lot of consternation about this of like how to get in there and get started. So, like you mentioned it, before, but how did you break away from the chains of being employed by somebody else and start your own thing? What was that like for you?
That was scary as hell. It was absolutely scary as hell, but I had already established myself as a competent turf agronomist
Mhm.
before I decided to break away. And so once I did break away, essentially I was well known, within the state of Hawaii. People knew who I was long before I decided to, set up shop for myself.
That always helps.
And that was like key because you've got to be joking if I broke out as an unknown quantity back in 2007 and they're going to see this 30 something year old, you know, making all of these wild claims and, no credibility to back it up. Uh, on the other hand, I'm rather notorious where I'm at, for better or worse.
For better or worse. That's what I was gonna
And,
say. I
and it's
mean,
and it's been that way for decades now, Ryan. Decades.
and that's the thing about doing good work and knowing your place
Mm-hmm.
Knowing your
Yeah.
place and not, I don't want to say compromising. I guess that's the fairest way to put it. I mean, it makes it sound bad for the customer side, but it's like, if somebody asks you to do a commodity lawn care job, you know, could you do
No,
it?
no,
Sure. I
no.
mean, you could. No,
I'm not
you
even.
could do. You could do it. Could,
I'm not.
but there's
But
just
I'm not
you're
set
not
up
set
to
up to
do it.
do with it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm not set up
Exactly.
to
Like
do
your
it
price would still be your
because
price. Mm-hmm.
yeah, my price would still be my price, and the equipment set and even staffing to do commodity lawn care is something that I don't have. I don't have it because, sorry to say, I cannot switch out my greens mower for a zero turn, for example. I don't have 3 guys with string trimmers ready to go. So, by necessity, I've had to really do what I do and stay in my lane at all times.
I get it. I mean, and that's the scary part too, right? Is like, how do you how do you put yourself in a position to have success? And that's what I think a lot of these guys are asking, right? Like, hey, I'm getting ready to make a switch, get ready to do something that I've never done before. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, going to have to do something that I've never done before, or I'm unsure if that I can do, right? And a lot of it's just having
Mm-hmm.
that confidence to go out and do it, and it is scary as hell. I mean, I would agree with that. So I was just
Yeah, it
curious.
was scary
So
for me, but then what happened literally, and the exact situation that happened for me was that the people that employed me a long time ago decided that they wanted to be more in that commodity lawn and landscape services sector. Uh, I wanted to be in an entirely different space. And what the real catalyst was when this one person begged me and asked me, "Hey, could you possibly treat my lawn, you know, on a Saturday morning when nobody's looking?" And I said, "Okay, I'll do it." And the rest is history.
there you go. That's
I'd
it.
like to go in
First
there, please.
client. Who we got now? Who's this? You're live.
Dude,
You are alive.
I guess like finally, man. My name is Bob. I'm in Arizona, and I've sent you a
Okay,
bunch of
Bob.
mailers.
Welcome.
Finally got you and Ray, and Matt went off to pee, but that's okay. So I've sent you a bunch of mailers, a bunch of texts. Finally found your YouTube. So I'm looking to see if you're looking to extend your car warranty. So can we do that now?
Mhm.
We
He was trying to pretend like
oh
he was reaching us for our car warranty. I hung up on him. Call back, Bob from
I would
Arizona.
have I would have talked to him. I would have extended. I
Yeah.
want
Sure,
like
we'll
I
call him
love
back.
talking
We'll
to
call him
those
back.
people. Don't Ray?
We'll call him
Ray,
back. We're
don't you
calling
love
him back.
talking to those people?
We're calling him.
Absolutely.
His wife's gonna answer dead pissed right now. She's gonna be like, Bob, you need to shut the
Hello.
hell up. I'm trying to say hello.
Yes, I was. My
I yeah,
husband was trying
I'd
to
like
extend your car warranty. Do you want to do that?
well, I mean, he started talking to us and something got extended. All right, I'll tell you that.
Oh no, and this is Love My Lawn. I was just calling in with. I was just trying to do a BS call
I
in.
knew it was
That I
you.
was. That I
I
was trying to
knew.
do.
Yeah.
That I was trying to do a car warranty call in. The old bullshit
Well,
stuff.
actually,
So,
Man,
man, how y'all
well,
doing?
some bullshit stuff. We're doing great. We're doing great
Ray,
on
yeah,
my
we
you're the
are.
lawn.
man.
We are. Ray is the man. Ray
How?
really is.
Ray,
I,
Ray is the
I'm
man.
third fit.
I
I'm
was
third
so
fiddle
fired
here on
up
this
that
show.
he flew in for the GIE or not really the GIE, but just to hang with y'all. That was so good. And get to talk to Ray and everybody and get to meet Ray. It's so great.
But yeah,
Well,
my call was actually just planned to be just car extended warranty because nobody can find you, and then I actually found you. It did that. Hey, y'all have a good night. I don't want to blow this up. Y'all are doing great. Y'all keep answering questions, okay?
Can do, man.
okay.
Thank you so much for calling in.
Demay, I love you.
I love you
Right.
too, man.
Good
All right. Hey,
night.
so all right. Looking for do we have any other callers? Callers, are you out there? If you're listening, there's 101 people watching this right now, which is nuts.
Yeah, there were a couple that kept trying. Go ahead and keep. If you tried calling in a little bit ago, call again.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we spent a heck of a long time with Lushy there, but then that's because we were talking business, and that's just how it goes.
So, okay, while we're sitting here, just to let everybody know, Matt had to step away. Matt's got a little issue at home he's dealing with, so it's just us riding it out. So, we're gonna have to sit here and ride Matt's coattails, right? Play second fiddle to him without him here. Which, man, what an alarming development. What are we gonna do, right? Because surely we don't know anything about turf, right? We got to have
Yeah,
the person that everybody thinks is turf truth, but isn't at our side and beck and call to make sure that we have all the right answers. But I guess the crib sheet's
yeah,
gone
yeah.
now.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
What do we got? Caller, you're live.
Damn, boy.
Oh, man.
Damn,
Oh
boy.
no. Uh-oh. Aldo.
Gentlemen, how y'all doing?
Aldo.
What's your altitude
Good.
right now, sir?
What's my what? I'm sorry?
What is your altitude right now?
Altitude. Physically here, we're about 230 feet below sea level, but I think internally I'm way above the fucking clouds right now.
Okay, because I was just gonna ask you, Aldo, is your altitude equivalent to half a rack of Modelo and a vape pen? Just asking.
Not quite.
Okay.
I'm not sure when I will reach that altitude again. That was me in rare form, Ray. But perhaps we may reach such altitudes in the future.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that, my experience with very high altitudes is pretty soon you hit the ionosphere and then you burn up. So be careful. Just saying.
Yeah, I think I've gone way past that. I think I may have created a few new atmosphere zones that are up there. I don't know. I may or may not have.
Ray,
we'll see.
Ray, even though the Concorde was retired, I think Aldo is flying it tonight, right, over Southern California. So that's
yeah.
My best
guess. The Concorde is not too bad, but then I honestly
the fires
witnessed
on takeoff. No big deal.
Yeah, it's all good, but I can honestly tell you, Dene, because you drove back to Ohio, I can honestly tell you what happened on the weekend had Aldo going up into the ionosphere and beyond. And he cannot deny that because it's the truth.
It's the turf truth.
Hey, so all right. So really here, can you, because I not everybody knows, and some people know that you were on the show here previously, way back when you were like, I think our OG guest. I think you might
have
one of the OG.
First.
You were like, he was like episode 1 of this format, so you have a special place in our heart. Can you tell folks what you're getting ready to do to your lawn out there in Southern California? We talked so much about it. I mean, it was like a 3-hour episode. I mean, it was a real banger. But what is getting ready to take place, or what is taking place currently with your lawn and going into next year? Can you kind of give us that in like 60 seconds or so?
Oh yeah, I can do it in 3 seconds. FAFO. That's what's happening.
Oh, one of those. Well, let's get the long version for the folks that don't do acronyms, and I don't need you to tell that, but what are you actually doing? What's your plan here? Let's hear it.
So, long story short, I spent half my summer killing, or at least attempting to kill, the common Bermuda I have in my lawn, which it was a nice stand while I had it. I think I peaked. I'm not sure I could have gotten it to look better than it already was. So I think I was ready to graduate to a better cultivar of Bermuda, hopefully by next spring. I did a decent job. About a month ago, I put down my ryegrass, and it's about 4 weeks old now. It looks great. I'm about to patch up some spots here in the next few days as soon as the seed germinates. And now it's just time to ride it out for the winter. Not much else I can do, at least not for now. What I was calling for, and now,
Oh boy.
Deme, I'm not sure how much experience you have with seed Bermuda. I know you're mostly about like hybrid Bermuda grasses, but I do have. I got a hold of some Rio Bermuda seed. I think that seemed to make the most sense for me, at least. To do hybrid and sod.
Good
It was a
choice.
little pricey, so I'm just gonna go with this. I'm trying to attempt to take advantage of the what they call it, allelopathic traits of ryegrass on Bermuda. And what I would like to do is try to take advantage of that. And my question for you guys was, how long would you ride this ryegrass out? Would you go past? Would you go out as long as I could, and for example, go past that window of prime temperatures for seeding Bermuda? Would you kill it right at that window, or would you maybe kill it off a little early to fallow a little more? Yeah. What do you guys think? Could try to do there.
You're in a rather unique situation because of your climate, right? So, like, I want to
boy, look at
preface
that.
this by saying, what happened? Look at what? What did I do? Oh, there you go.
This is his overseed.
This is current situation. And people are
Yeah.
going to look
Yeah.
at this and be like, dude, you're nuts. You can't. Why would you kill this off? Well, folks, he's going to have to, because like his day to day in the summertime is legitimately like 110 to 115 degrees daily, right? So this is not going to last.
Yep.
So again, want to preface this by saying you warm up a lot sooner and you get a lot hotter and you stay a lot hotter a lot longer. So for people in like the transition zone that are thinking about this and Cedar Bermuda and what we're going to talk about here, don't take this as the gospel, right? Right, Ray? Is that fair
Yeah,
to say?
this is
in
not
your
necessarily
eyes?
relevant to everyone else's situation because I'm a little bit familiar with what Aldo is actually working with and dealing with. And fact of the matter is that I believe by March or April, Aldo starts seeing high 80s, low 90s, maybe even some 100 by May or June. So,
That's right.
so what I'm thinking now is, provided you have the water, my inclination would be to ride the ryegrass longer than I would versus if I were trying to transition back to Bermuda. I would actually
I would
take advantage of that allelopathy a little. I'd utilize it.
Okay.
I would say here's what I would do is I would work backwards from this date, right? So on seeded Bermuda, I would want to have I'm going to say 4 good months of growing weather to feel confident about it, right? In your climate, you might be able to get away with less, but at least 4. Okay. So work backwards from the point where it's like, okay, hey, like past the point of good Bermuda growing weather. And don't forget that it's not just temperature, right? It's sunlight too, right? So the amount of light, the quality
Right.
of light that you're going to get. So work backwards from there. And I'll have to look at the sunlight data from your location. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick while I'm talking. But work backwards from that date, 4 months, and then maybe give yourself a little bit of a buffer just in case you get tripped up with something, you have family stuff to deal with, whatever the case might be, and give yourself a little bit of buffer there. So maybe call it 5 months back. And that's kind of where I would pick and go with it, right? So I think that's going to give you, especially given the early spring temperatures that you do have, plenty of time to cook everything, follow a little bit, right? And then hopefully you have a good clean seed bed to work with at that point, and then game on, man. I think it's a solid plan. It's just going to be another period, right? Like you just went through where, okay, like the lawn looks like shit for another, month and a half, 2 months, and everybody's gonna be like, does this guy know what he's doing? Like, is this guy legitimately crazy? And you can just tell him, no, I'm just, I'm a pilot. I go up, I come down, things happen in between, no big deal. So, yeah, I think that's how I would play it, is try to not necessarily think about how late to go with the ride, but get to your end point and work your way backwards from there. That's how I always plan a project out.
That's a good way to do it, is work backwards from what I call your drop dead date, where it's
Absolutely.
basically like critical on the timeline. And because I think that that's like the key to my successes. That's kind of where I'm able to do what I do without too much catastrophe. And by the way, Deme, I had to tell somebody that they were out of their window for scalping and sand capping because
I
they were
mean,
thinking
yeah.
they were thinking I was going to do that when I got back from Knoxville, but I told them no, not happening, because
Just
the
yeah.
temperatures are not right for it. It's wrong. So
Did
it's
did you
just a
send him
matter
a
of
did you send him a reminder for your next visit in May of 2022? That's what I would have
actually
done.
I actually routinely maintain their lawn. I routinely
Oh,
maintain
okay,
their
so you're
lawn, and by
there.
the way, that lawn got the high rate cutlass and the groomer before I got on the plane.
Yeah,
Just saying.
all right, I'll see you later, right? The old hey, listen, you're in a relationship, you're taking a long trip, right? You got to have that send off, right? To let it know that, you're not going to do anything on the way out or while you're out there or anything like that. And, it's going to let you know that if you do, that lawn's probably going to take half your shit and move out. So, yeah, you got to have that plan in place before you go on any major trip. I like where your head's at, Ray.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the difference between, I guess, myself and your average lawn person here, in that most of the guys here don't know how to use plant growth regulators. They really don't.
Sad too that can't be a thing, but unfortunately, right,
Hmm.
here we are.
Hmm.
So
While we're
I
on
would
that
say
So,
PGR subject, guys, real quick, thank you
uh-oh.
for the answer on the
Yeah.
ryegrass and the comment that I'm
sure.
doing. Actually, just right now, while I have this ryegrass here, interesting question here. As far as PGR, should I just stick to the T-Nex or perhaps a low dose of Legacy? I don't know how Fliprimidol does with ryegrass, or that may be a bad idea, good idea. I don't know what you guys think.
I don't know that to be a bad idea of fliprimidol and ryegrass. I don't think you're going to see any net negative effects. I mean, quite honestly, T-Nex does a fine job on it, and I think you can keep it dialed in, so long as you're keeping on your intervals and everything like that. But I would
I
just
don't
write it out
think
with the
that.
T-Nex. Save your. Here's my thing: save the fliprimidol for the Bermuda, because we know how
Yeah,
effective it can be there. I don't think it's like wasting the good booze on just a night with the boys instead of a party, right? Like save that
yeah,
for
I
what
did
you
give
need
that some
when you need
thought.
it.
It's just, yeah, it's just I have a little bit of the edgeless, the small 8 ounce bottle. Got a little bit of that left over. I was like, hey, I may want to FAFO with this ryegrass and see what happens.
Actually, there's
If you
nothing.
want to.
There's nothing wrong. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, and you're actually working with it at a time of the year where I wouldn't be nervous about regulating a stand of ryegrass, because he has optimal or fairly optimal temperatures to where the ryegrass is not stressed. On the other hand, you tell me you're going to play with this, say, during summer in the Midwest, I'd say rethink. You
Oh
can't
yeah, like that's a whoa.
necessarily That's a no, right?
Yeah.
That's a no, Ryan. Because
Again, we should preface this by saying, don't extrapolate ryegrass in extreme Southern California in wintertime with ryegrass and PGR in the Midwest in summertime. Please don't extrapolate that for this conversation.
Yeah, please don't. Yeah, it doesn't
Noted.
translate, because what the closest thing I can, the closest parallel I can draw is Southern California winter is like very good late spring weather in the Midwest, where it's cool, it's relatively sunny, it's not raining too much, and it's just good weather. So, because Aldo has that, I don't feel nervous about telling him that it's okay to play with a little PGR to give him a break from mowing, because here's my experience in the fall and the winter on lawns. People get busy. You don't have time to be mowing every other day. Okay, you ain't got time for that, because Aldo, it comes down to a choice of, hey, either you're going to roast that turkey or you're going to cut that grass, but you can't do both at the same time. I know.
I'd probably roast myself and then I'd roast the turkey, but that's neither here nor there.
That's a different subject. That's a different subject entirely. I mean,
every day.
That's right. Aldo, thanks for calling in, man.
Thanks for the answers, gentlemen. Appreciate y'all. Hope you guys have recovered well from our stint at Louisville, Kentucky, and y'all have a great rest of your week.
Hey, this is Air
All
Traffic
right.
Control. You're cleared to ascend to 32,000 feet.
Roger. Y'all have a good night. Take it easy.
Good night.
See ya. Oh man, hey, that was one of the more epic highlights of the trip. Right, was Aldo on the Discord and on the phone, the computer, and everything like that is exactly the same Aldo you get in person, right, Ray? Like he is
Pretty much.
he is
Pretty much.
he's a
I mean-
genuine dude.
Yeah, I mean, I can only hope that I was more fun with people in person, because oops,
Uh-oh. Who we
caller.
got? You are
Hey there.
live.
This is Aldo's neighbor.
Aldo's neighbor.
It's Will.
Will
Oh,
Wood.
hi.
What's going
Hi,
on?
Mr.
How's it
William
going? How's
Wood.
it going?
I
Yeah.
forgot out there in the great Southwest that neighbors is anywhere between 4 minutes and like 8 hours away. So it's wide open spaces out there. So I get a little confused. So how are things in the greater Phoenix area this evening?
They are warm and they are. I mean, it was the high today was 90, so it's warm.
Damn.
But yeah, mostly dry weather.
I've been seeing a ton of pictures from golf course supers out there, and it's
Okay. I guess.
Whoops.
There he is.
Hello.
Try again,
No.
Ryan.
Whoa.
No, I was gonna
Oh,
say.
there we go. Oh, it sounds like we cut out.
No, I died for a second when I came back. So no, I seeing these guys, at the end of overseed season, and all these beautiful, lush, unplayed on ryegrass, and they're probably open up their courses like this past week or this weekend or something like that. And yeah, I did see the weather was warm out there, and I'm thinking, man, like this is like their worst nightmare of what would occur, right, Ray? Like that you've got all this traffic that's about to send because the appetite's there, and then you go through all that. So it's interesting to see what's the Bermuda situation out there. How's the yard looking? So for those of you who don't know, William, why don't you take us through a little like synopsis of what you did, where you're at, what you've done? Because I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
To follow along. Like it was definitely one of those patience projects, right? Where it was like, you got 6, 8, 9 weeks into it, and you're like, all right, come on. And it finally got
Yeah,
there,
no,
right?
for sure.
but take us through it. What, like, real quick, what did you do, and where is it at right now?
All right. Well, about a year ago, or a little more than a year ago, I went on the crazy train and killed my 30-year-old bullseye Bermuda stand and
Oh, God.
planted
Oh.
drip type tall fescue.
Mhm.
And I rode that for as long as I possibly could. And then it just hit May, just like Aldo was saying, and we hit a brick wall. And she cried and she screamed, and I couldn't save her. And so I just sucked up my pride, killed it off using various elixirs that I found on the Discord and on the lawn forum. And we brought in some sprigs, did a soil test, and I talked to Ryan and Ray and Matt and begged you guys for all sorts of advice, and listened and tried to be patient. And now I've got a very lush stand of 419, and I've been cutting it at about 5/8 of an inch.
Ooh, nice.
And
Nice.
so
Beautiful.
it's been good. But the tough part is trying to get one of these greensmasters, because everybody with COVID is now buying them all from the golf courses. So we're still waiting.
Oh, really? So you're still without? I mean, that's the thing, is like, one can be had.
I'm
One
using
can be had, but
this
it's a price point.
this McLean. What's that?
Okay. I was gonna say, like, they can be had, but I think some of the price points I've seen on some of these are just stupid high, or the ones that are cheap are just so beat up that, like, you might as well go ahead and spend the $3 or $4 grand to get, a decent or a good one, right? Because the
Right.
ones that are $1,000 or $1,500 are just beat to shit, right? And Ray
Yeah,
will tell you,
exactly. Yeah, I
they're easy. They're easy to fix up, but it's also like, the time and the opportunity cost of, do I have time to take this thing apart and put it all back together?
Well,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
no,
it's
for sure.
that's just the problem, is that I learned my lesson really early, in that 8 years ago, I took in $150 GM 1000. $150, Ryan. However, needed new bearings, needed new belts, needed new covers for the belt drives, needed a new carburetor, and then needed a new reel, needed a new bed knife. So by the time all was said and done, I think I spent over $1,000 just in parts, plus a couple of weekends removing, replacing, and refitting. But would I do it all over again? Totally. I would do it all over again, because that mower served me extremely faithfully until about a month ago.
No? Yeah, well, Sheila.
So let me ask you guys a question real
Yeah,
fast.
play it on us here, yeah.
So
Yeah.
just down the street, there's a bunch of desert oak trees, and they're dropping their acorns. And now underneath these trees, there are, I don't know, hundreds of little treelings coming up. What would someone do to treat that, or to knock it down, especially since they're in the middle of overseeding all these lawns? I was just curious. I'm like, is there even anything you can do to stop that?
Triclopyr. Yeah.
Really?
I would go with like a very low rate of triclopyr to kill off the volunteer oak seedlings.
Oh, yeah.
And
Okay, ceilings.
okay, and other option for that is your good old three-way. Three-way is good too. And the thing is that it kind of works out, because if you're overseeding the rye is rather tolerant of triclopyr. So
Aldo's
you can
asking,
do
isn't
that.
the triclopyr gonna ding up the Bermuda? That's what Ray's Aldo's asking.
it'll hit the Bermuda if you combine it with ethofumicate and if you're applying repeated applications over the winter of triclopyr and ethofumicate. Because, by the way, I gave Aldo a formula to smoke out the lingering Bermuda over the winter. Progress plus Turflon ester. Just keep sending it until next spring.
Yeah, so I think you be careful with what you're doing there, but I think it can work for sure. So that's a good question. That's
I
a good
appreciate it,
question,
guys.
though, and
Thanks so much.
Yep.
Always appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you too,
Okay.
William. Thanks so much for calling in, man.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
We got a little question here in the chat. Next door neighbor Zoisha is impeding bid time into my Bermuda grass and need to know now what to stop it. Move. And if you can't move, you're going to need what I've been installing a lot of this last year, which is known as a 12-inch deep grass root barrier. I've been trenching
we use those on
in
putting greens. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trenching in that grassroot barrier, and to deal with the Bermuda that has snuck over into the Zoysia that snuck over into the Bermuda next year, Zoysia hates Pilex, and Zoysia hates Pilex more than Bermuda does. Seriously.
Hey, you're out. You're. I'm not going to say you're way out there because, I understand how far out you go, but that's special. That's something different, for sure.
Yeah, well,
All right, we got time for
it's like
one more. Oh,
one
go ahead.
more.
Go ahead.
Yeah, one more. Let's take another call. Whoever's
One more
whoever's up.
call before we move it to the after show. Here we go. Caller, you are live.
Hi there, bud.
Oh
Hey.
God, here we go. Here's Minnesota. If Matt was here, he'd be squawking like a seal right now and carrying on everything like that. I'm not going to do that. But we do have with us Mr. Evie out of Minnesota. And what's your question for us tonight? Wait, first of all, how cold is it up there right now?
It was like 42 today.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Oh,
it's not like that here yet.
That's like hot cocoa and fireplace weather for me. You see, I told you, the cold doesn't bother me as much as the heat.
Which is weird because you live in a tropical climate, but I digress. So, Evie, what do you got for us tonight? What do you want to talk about?
So I was not planning on doing anything about snow mold. I never have. I guess it's never bothered me, but if I could do it under $50, I'd be willing to give it a shot just to mess around. So
Just to mess around.
What kind of options do I have for? I have like 7,000 square feet, so it's fine if it runs out early at 5,000. Then I'd have a check plot. Just kind of something cheap to just kind of mess around with and observe over the winter.
Yeah, so I mean, a couple of things here. Number one, a lot of the really good chemistry is not going to be available to you because of year-round residential, right? So that's number one. That being said, you do have some options, right? So propiconazole is probably going to be your best bet, right, at a high rate. Pushing probably like 2 fluid ounces per 1,000. I don't know. I'm going to go look at something else here while we're talking, but that's the first thing off the top of my head. I want to look and see. I don't think Civitas is labeled for residential, but Ray, I mean, obviously, like fludeoxonil, PCNB. I mean, there's a lot of great options out there. However, They're
Well,
all like
fludioxonil
golf
is not
specific.
okay. Fludioxonil is not restricted to golf only. However, fludioxonil is just like money,
Mucho dinero.
super, yeah, mucho dinero. So I'm on board with the high rate propiconazole and applying that high rate propiconazole while the grass is still growing, because propiconazole has to incorporate itself into the grass tissues and be translocated throughout the grass in order for it to be an effective antifungal. Uh, Other options include what are known as your SDHI fungicides, which are labeled for residential turf. However, they do come into a little bit of money. They're not cheap, but they work well. And an
And
example
you
of
can use them
something
in other.
that's in
Go
other
ahead.
situations as well, because like one of my favorite fungicides that is, by the way, legal on residential lawns is Lexicon. It's expensive, but I know that as the fungicide that can tackle most turfgrass diseases with the issue of Pisium all in one bottle.
What about
Yeah,
something
that's gonna
like
be.
if I were to do just like Eagle or 3336? Are those viable
Those
versus
Yeah.
those
just
are
propiconazole?
those are kind of weak on snow mold, actually, if I remember
Yeah.
rightly. Those
Yeah.
are those are
You're
not
not
snow
seeing a
mold
lot of value on that.
fungicides. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, 'cause
really gonna
I know I'm kind
be.
of limited when I'm really looking at the cheap options. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think even propiconazole by itself is not super strong, right? So I guess the other thing too to consider, right? Uh, here's where my head would be at is kind of doing some own if you can do some of your own trials in the yard, right? And just instead of going all out, right? If you have, do you have any propiconazole handy, or you'd have to buy some?
no, I'd have to buy it.
Okay, okay. Well, at that point, then yeah, you go full rate. So, right, I'm struggling here to think of what is, and now let me go look up this real quick. Ohio State has a really good Ohio State residential turf fungicides.
Yeah. What does
I
Ohio
don't
State
remember.
University say about this? Because
Well, they have a
I'm still
list of
think
all the turf fungicides that helps me remember. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Ooh,
I was
yeah,
in
just about there's
the
a lot.
Discord. I was linking University of Wisconsin. I believe it's Madison. Is they do lots
Mhm.
of really good snow mold trials. So I was kind of looking
Oh
through
yeah,
those.
Paul.
But as I was looking through them, it's like you pull up all the different fungicides that you're using, and besides outside of propiconazole, pretty much everything jumps up to like $200 for a bottle.
yeah,
Well, and so the other thing too to look at is use rate. Like, so I understand $50 is $50, but it might be something too that you look at. Yeah, it's a $200 investment, but it could be a container size that lasts 2, 3, 4, 5 years, depending on what size of container and what the rates are and everything like that. So, um,
because
again, the
Evie,
problem is you look at
I
some of these. Go ahead.
yeah, I can also break it down to you in these terms, in that the reason why I don't flinch at the more costly stuff is that I know that, for example, that Lexicon, my beloved Lexicon, that bottle is literally the amount of product that's intended for use over an acre at label maximum rate. So if somebody has like a 2,000 or 5,000 square foot lawn, breaking it down like that is not a bad value, because you look at it this way. Okay, I'm going to withdraw like half an ounce per 1,000 square foot, and I still have the rest of the bottle left over. to me, that's a good value versus, other products where you dump in that whole bottle and maybe it only costed like $25 or $30 or whatever, and that whole bottle is gone. Whereas with some of the more expensive things, it can carry you over not only this disease season, but next disease season. It's just another way to look at it, because I know
Yeah.
there is sticker shock.
Yeah.
I would look at somebody like Gravy Lookout or somebody like that that's also in the same boat, and seriously try to see if you guys can maybe do a split on something like that. But the Flutioxanil, which is a product by Syngenta called Medallion, fantastic. I mean, like lights out on snow mold. So, look at that and see if that's an option of finding a guy or two up that way. They're in really high pressure situations, and see if you can do it. And then, it's snow mold, man. Like, and I understand in your area, it's going to take a lot longer for the snow to melt, and you're going to have damage hanging around a lot longer, like probably into May and things like that. But it's not like a death sentence to get it, right? It's just really unsightly until things grow back. So take that for what it's worth. I think the $50 thing, I'd rather see you save that $50 this year and put $100 towards it next year, right? And get something good, if that was the case. So that would be my message.
That is kind of the case. I
There
was
you
just,
go.
I was kind of almost just, debating like, well, if I could throw something out just for watch something over the winter, whether it's worth that even or not. But I know that I was kind of looking that propiconazole is iffy, I guess, and didn't know if there's any other options really, and if it's even worth it. So it sounds like maybe just save the $50 and see how bad the snow mold actually gets or doesn't get this year, and then have more for next year.
Right on, man. I think that's a great plan for sure. Well, sir, thanks
All right,
for
well,
calling.
thank you.
Hopefully the snow does not fly, and maybe it's a dry winter up there. Who knows, right?
They said it's supposed to be more snow than usual. I think they're saying around 60 inches is the expectation this year.
That sounds awful. Awful. Oh boy.
All right,
Well,
take
hey,
care,
thanks
guys.
again for calling in. Thank you. All right, J
Yep.
Pink, we've got one outbound call that we've got to make apparently. Hopefully there's not a permanent charge on this line, because I think our credit card has been shut off after Louisville. But yeah, let's see. Who are we calling? Or is it a surprise?
We're calling now.
Yo.
Palmer,
Hello?
you're on.
Hello?
Oh
Hello?
my goodness. Mr.
Spinelli.
Turf. Oh,
Spinelli's. That's all I'm here for. I have nothing
it
of
sounds.
value to
Listen,
Oh.
listen.
other than
I
Spinelli.
I want to talk real candidly here for a moment. Now, there was a moment in time nearly 7 days ago, actually just about 5 hours short of 7 days ago, that Mr. Robert Palmer, Turf Therapy, and I had a meal together in the middle of the night.
did.
That was life-changing.
Was
Absolutely
epic.
life-changing. There will be all the pizza that we ate before Spinelli's in Louisville, and then there will be all the pizza that we've eaten after we've been to Spinelli's, right? That is the divide in our pizza eating lives that we experienced last Thursday night. Well,
Defined.
Friday morning.
Yeah, it was like
So, hey,
Friday
how
morning, yeah.
how are you, sir? Are you feeling good? Did you have a good
I am
time out
well
there?
recovered.
And good. That is good. Now, if you don't know this, Mr. Palmer here is getting ready to leave the continental United States, just as Ray did here earlier this week. And he's traveling over to a new duty assignment, which I will not name where it's at. I'll let him divulge that information on his own time and his own channel and all that. But first of all, thank you for coming to Louisville and spending some time with us. That was a really cool thing to do, and it was great to see your whole crew from WeWork. And I think it was awesome to meet up with everybody and everything like that. We had a blast with everybody. But also, too, thank you for your service. Thank you for everything that you have done, that you will do. for this country, this great, great country. And yeah, it was just great to hang, meet up, and do all those things. So, do you have a turf question though? You know, we goofed around and we didn't really talk too much grass. So I'm curious, like the
I'm
next
saving my
steps and all
turf
that stuff of
questions.
your new ones. Oh
Right, I was
boy.
talking to Jay Pink about it while I was there, and I'm going to do my homework. I'm going to build my plan, and I'm going to come back
Uh-huh.
on the show before I pull the trigger
Oh
for an asthma check.
boy.
That's it. You already got the grass seed, so you know what that looks like. I'm pretty sure I found my fir
Yep.
company. I kind of just need to get there and see what the lay of land looks like. I lost a 20,000 square foot plot, so that's gone. But so we're starting from scratch. We're gonna figure it out though. But I'm gonna come back, get an
What's
asthma
the
check, make sure I haven't
Yeah,
lost my mind,
I like it.
and then we're going for it.
What's the gardening situation going to be like where you're going? I don't want you to spill too many of the beans. I know you want to show it up and everything like that, but like are you expecting to do some new things based on where you're at, like some things you've never done before, or is it going to be a
Yes,
lot of the same old same old?
nah. I'm going for some pretty exotic, like cool season plant that I wasn't able to pull
Really?
off in Maryland. Yeah, like there's this thing called oyster lettuce that only really does good in very tempered summers, like mild summers, but thrives on the coast of like New England, and it legit tastes like
Mhm.
oysters. But the seeds are like a pain to germinate. So I'm finding
Really?
I'm gonna find a nice challenge in just germinating the seeds and then keeping the plants alive. So that's one little sneak peek. But I'm a cool season, not only cool season grass kind of guy, but I really prefer the cool season plants as well. So you see a lot of cool season plants out there, and I'm also going to try to scoop up some beets because I'm in Europe. Why not?
Well, no, I was going to say the root
You,
vegetables should be interesting. Have you ever grown potatoes or anything like any
Yeah,
tubers like
yeah, I
that?
did that. Yeah, I did.
Okay. I
I did
couldn't remember.
potatoes in a
okay,
big old 20-gallon laundry tub, just fine.
Uh,
okay, o-
hey.
okay, Palmer. I am mildly jelly of you, and you know
I'm
why I'm
mildly jelly
mildly
of your
jelly?
footwork, Ray. Your footwork is amazing, by the way.
What about
Ray
my
has the
footwork?
best footwork in the game. I'm just telling you, when you watch Ray spray, when you see this video that I'll release in about 10 to
Oh,
15 days,
yeah.
you're going to want to dance with Ray. That's all I'm going to say. He's got to be the best
Yeah,
dancer in the
Ray.
world. He's got to be the best dancer in the world, hands down.
But okay, the reason why I'm mildly jelly is that I know that as far as cool toys for gardening and lawn care,
hmm
a lot of the cool toys comes from Germany.
Mm.
Okay, and
So
I've
you
known
know you got
that
to make me a
for
wish list then.
well, I've known about that for years now. That all the cool stuff comes from or is made in Germany. I mean, they're literally gardening and lawn fanatics there. They are.
Yeah. They call
And
their
Okay,
lawns
chemicals.
gardens. Like the whole thing is a garden. That's how they refer to it. Hey, the
Yeah.
garden. Like, okay, which
mhm.
part? No, it's all of it. Which really feeds into
So
that like full inclusivity that I try to aim for on the channel.
I hear you. And
because
you're right. Like it's all an immersive experience. I get that.
Right.
mhm. So
What were you
having said that, I don't think you're going to end up in what I call a lawn desert when you get to Germany. I think you're going to do rather well. And oh, by the way, uh, just so that you know, good old Bayer does have a heavy presence in its home country. So I think you're going to be set up. I think you'll be
Nice.
hooked up. Okay,
Nice.
you're
I
going to be
agree.
all you're going to be all right. I mean, it's not like you're going to go somewhere where there's no grass. So
Yeah, I
I'm
I'm
looking
I'm
forward
really
to it.
anxious to see you get out there and get started. All I know is this, Mr. Palmer, is that uh there's absolutely no way that there can be a Spinelli's where you're going. And so
Mm-mm.
we will find a
Nope,
way to
definitely
ship it
isn't.
in dry ice. or something like
Thank
that.
you.
So
I
that you
appreciate
can.
it. That was the one request I had actually. So you kind of beat me to it.
I'll
Let me
make
do
it
that.
absolutely happen. I'll absolutely make it happen. But there's nothing quite like, you know, being more than half in the bag, probably all the way through the bag at that point, and burning the roof of your mouth with it, and wondering what's going on, and trying to put salt and pepper on it instead of like the crushed red pepper and the cheese, because you just don't know
Yeah.
what's going on. There
Yeah.
there was some good times to be had. So hey, here's what I can tell you for sure is that we went to Louisville, you went to Knoxville, we went all these places, we made some memories, we had some fun, we bonded, and I know that we're going to do it again. And that's what I'm most excited for, is the opportunity to get to do it again. So hey, I'm glad we got to call you, because it was nice of you to talk to us tonight. That's what I would say. It wasn't
It
nice
was
of us
nice
to
of
talk
y'all
to
to
you. It was
have
nice
me.
of you to talk to us. So, all right, listen. It is now time, Ray. It is time
Let's
for the
do it.
after
Let's
show.
party.
It'll
Let's do it.
be a little bit abbreviated. Matt's not here. There's some videos I really wanted to show him and ratchet up his anxiety, but I'm going to save those, because you know what? It's not worth burning those to not see him squirm a little bit in that chair. I love it. That's what I take great pleasure in. So listen, if you want to figure out how to get in the show, you can go ahead and become a member down below. Very low cost, very easy to do. You can also join us over on Patreon. So www.patreon.com/burn and return, right? Pick us up there. An airport beer, a 12-pack of your favorite low-cost beer, or maybe like a couple cans of carb cleaner for your GM 1000, Ray. Like, there's a variety of different things that add up to what it costs to join us over in the after show.
It doesn't take much, or else I can even say, hey, for cost of a virgin margarita or a virgin Bloody Mary, you can become a Patreon member. I mean, because as you guys know, I don't drink.
Right, and so you were paying those convention center prices for the virgin drinks. But all that said, it's a fun atmosphere. You'll get an opportunity to go into our private Discord server, #Dirty Deeds. There'll be a link up that's up there for 10 minutes only, and after that, it'll disappear into nowhere on the internet that you'll ever find it again. So with that being said, hey, thanks to you, our listeners, our supporters, everybody like that, and even our haters, right? Because we love you too. We're inclusive, and we don't really care what you think anyway. So with that, we'll see you next time.